Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mudassir Ijaz and welcome to our next tutorial. And in this tutorial, I will teach you about how to delete the data from the database. It's very simple and easy. Just use the delete query and nothing else. So, as that is our view code, as we discussed it in our in our previous lecture. And but here there is the one of the concept. The concept is that if we want to delete the data, then we access this data by the help of id because the id of the every data is always unique. So we access that data by the help of id. We also access this by the help of the name, by email, by password, but we use the id, and its reason is that we use the id because the id is always the unique. So in the as that is all the code to show the data, and I'll discuss it in my previous lecture and in this lecture. That is my delete code. In TD, I use the anchor tag. And why do I use anchor tag? Because I want to move it to my next page, delete.php. So in this, I use the delete.php question mark ID. And that is actually is that I want to put the ID in my uh, browser link. So I use the delete.php question mark ID is equal, and after this I use the php tag, and in this I echo the dollar sign row id. It print the id of the specific data. It's actually if I'll tell you that how it can show in the browser, then some of its result is that I will id equal to 3. It means that it pass the id3, means that id3, the data of id3 passes to my delete.php file. So this is the link that it show in our browser link tab. So in the delete.php, first of all, as that starting our database or creating the database connection, and then here is the dollar sign id dollar sign get dollar sign get. By the help of get method, we get the id, access the id. And how to access the id? We send this, and in next file we by the help of dollar sign get, we access the id and store it in dollar sign id. And now here is the delete query. I also copy this query from the database, and you all of know that where is the delete query. Go to my sqli and click on delete. That is here my delete query. Just copy it and paste in your vs code. And vs code, in VS Code, now you the one thing is that you have to put where, and ID is equal to dollar sign ID. It means that if the given ID in the URL is equal to the ID in the database, then apply the delete query. I repeat, if the given ID is equal to the ID in the database, then delete that data, and then run this query. And after this, running the our query, and that is the one of the function mysqli query, and that is the database, and then simply. And here is the if condition, that if the our query is run, then it shows the result delete successfully. If not, then it shows result they try again, nothing else. So uh, this is the simple and very easy code for the delete. And now we go to a browser and check it that it's working or not. That is our all the data that show in our tab. And now we want to delete this data. Click on delete button. Yeah, it's result that it deleted successfully. It means that our, and here is the thing that I will tell you in my comment, that delete.php dollar sign id is equal to 11. It means that it deletes the 11 id, that data of the 11 id. So it's delete this, and if I want to go back to the view.php tab, view.php. Now here is there the only one data, that is the Mudassir messages 10, and that is 0. There is nothing and no more data else this. And if you want to add the data, there is a simple code, you can also add it. But this is the simple code to delete. Just there are the only two steps: create database, access the data from the view by the help of the ID, and just run the delete query and nothing else, and your data will be the deleted. It's very easy and simple way. Thank you so much for watching my video, and in the next video I will tell you how you can update the data, and it's also very easy. There is nothing more difficult to update the data. So thank you so much, and Allah Hafiz.